You know that feeling when you wake up on a random Tuesday, you roll over, grab your phone, and instinctively open Instagram. You are barely awake. Your eyes are still adjusting to the light. And the first thing you see is your friend from college. You know the one who seemingly has it all figured out. They are posting a photo of the keys to their new house. Or maybe they are somewhere in Italy sipping an Aperol Spritz while you are dreading the commute to a job that, let's be honest, you are just kind of tolerating. And in that moment, you feel this pit in your stomach. It is not jealousy exactly. It is more like panic. A quiet, creeping panic. You look at the ceiling and think, I am in my 30s. I am supposed to have this figured out by now. I was promised that by the time I hit 30, I would have the house, the savings, the portfolio, and the dog. But instead, you check your banking app and you get that sinking feeling. You know, the one where you kind of squint at the number, hoping it is a mistake, or you just close the app immediately in horror. Like if you do not see it, it does not exist. It is like the cosmic conspiracy of adulthood was waiting for you to blow out the candles on your 30th birthday to just smack you in the face with reality. The truth is, seeing that number does not make you a bad person. It does not make you lazy. But it might mean you are stuck in a loop of 7 specific habits that are quietly, invisibly draining your wealth before you even have a chance to build it. These aren't the obvious things, like buying too many avocados or whatever the boomers are yelling about this week. These are deep, psychological, and mathematical traps. So, if you are tired of feeling like you are running on a treadmill that is set just a little too fast, you are in the right place. I am Ryan, and this is Finance with Ryan. Today, we are going to stop the bleeding. We are going to look at the habits keeping you poor in your 30s, and we are going to fix them, not with fluff, but with math and a little bit of brutal honesty. Here is the thing. Most people think the problem is that they do not make enough money. And look, I get it. The economy is weird, inflation is doing its thing, and wages are stagnant. That is real. But if I gave you $1 million today, and you still had the mindset of a broke person, you would be broke again in 3 years. It happens to lottery winners all the time. It is tragic, really. They get the cash, but they do not change the operating system in their brain. We need to reframe the problem completely. You are likely suffering from what psychologists call a scarcity mindset. This is not just about being broke. It is a cognitive tunnel vision. When you feel like resources are scarce, whether that is money, time, or energy, your brain actually drops in IQ. Literally. There was this study done by Senthil Mullainathan and Eldar Shafir, 2 heavyweight researchers, and they found that being preoccupied with money problems reduced cognitive function, equivalent to losing a night of sleep or dropping 13 IQ points. Think about that. When you are stressed about money, you are literally wanting dumber decisions because your brain is in survival mode. You focus on the immediate fire, the rent, the car payment, the minimum balance on the credit card, and you lose the capacity to plan for the long term. This is why you buy the cheap boots that fall apart in 3 months instead of the quality ones that last 10 years. It is expensive to be poor. This creates a paradox. You work hard, you get paid, and you feel this relief. But because you have been in a scarcity mindset, your brain craves a reward. It screams, I deserve this. So you go out to dinner. You lease the nicer car, you upgrade the apartment. We call this lifestyle creep, but it is really just your brain trying to soothe the pain of scarcity. You are trying to fill a bathtub with the drain wide open. You think the solution is to turn the tap on harder, make more money, hustle more, get a side gig. But until you plug the drain, which is your behavior and your psychology, you are just going to be wet, tired, and broke. You have to understand that wealth is not a number. Wealth is a ratio. It is the gap between your ego and your income. If your ego rises every time your income rises, that gap stays closed, and you stay poor. It is like you are running a race where the finish line keeps moving away from you every time you take a step. It is exhausting, and quite frankly, it is stupid. We need to stop looking at the income column and start looking at the behavior column. We need to move from a scarcity mindset, where we are grasping for immediate relief, to an abundance mindset, where we are planting seeds for a harvest we might not see for a few years. It sounds boring, I know. But do you know what else is boring? Being 60 years old and greeting people at a department store because you have zero retirement savings. That is the ultimate boredom. Let's look at the math, because numbers do not care about your feelings. They do not care if you had a bad day or if you think you deserve a treat. The math is brutal, and it is brutally fair. One of the biggest habits keeping people poor in their 30s is simply not understanding the terrifying power of opportunity cost. Let's say you are 30 years old. You decide you want to buy a new car. Nothing too crazy, just a nice, reliable new SUV for $40,000. You finance it, obviously, because who has 40 grand lying around? So you are paying maybe $600 or $700 a month. You think, I can afford the monthly payment, so I can afford the car. That is the most dangerous sentence in the English language. I can afford the monthly payment. No, you cannot. Here is why. If you took that same $40,000, whether you paid cash or paid it off over 5 years, and instead you invested it in a standard S&P 500 index fund, earning an average of 8 to 10% a year. Let's be conservative and say 8%. In 30 years, when you are 60, that $40,000 would not be $40,000. It would be over $400,000. Read that again in your head. The car did not cost you $40,000. It cost you $400,000 of your future freedom. That $40,000 car is literally eating almost $500,000 of your retirement. Is the new car smell worth $500,000? I mean, unless that car comes with a butler and a time machine, the answer is no. This is the power of compounding, and in your 30s, you are in the danger zone. You are at the tipping point. In your 20s, you had time but no money. In your 40s, you might have money but less time for it to grow. Your 30s are the sweet spot. Every dollar you waste now is $10 you are setting on fire in the future. Let's look at another example. The daily habit. The latte, the lunch out, the subscription you forgot about. Let's say it adds up to $20 a day. Just $20. That is like a sandwich and a coffee in most cities. Doesn't feel like much, right? It feels negligible. But $20 a day is $7,300 a year. If you invested that $7,300 every year from age 30 to age 60, at an 8% return, you would have over $830,000, nearly $1 million, just from lunch. This is what I mean when I say the math is brutal. You are literally eating your $1 million portfolio one sandwich at a time. It sounds ridiculous, and I know people hate the stop buying coffee advice because it feels condescending. But the math does not lie. It is not about the coffee. It is about the acceleration. Compound interest is an accelerator. When you have debt, it accelerates you into poverty. When you have investments, it accelerates you into wealth. In your 30s, you have to decide which direction you want to accelerate. Most people are driving with the parking brake on, paying interest on credit cards, student loans, and cars, wondering why they aren't moving forward. You are fighting the mathematical current. You need to turn the ship around and let the current push you. And look, I am not saying you can never spend money. That would be a miserable existence. But you have to earn the right to spend by building the machine first. You are trying to eat the fruit before you have planted the tree. You need to build the asset column so that eventually your assets buy your liabilities. But in your 30s, if you are buying liabilities with your active income, you are just digging a hole, and the dirt from that hole is falling right onto your face. So how do we fix this? Because knowing the math is one thing, but actually doing it is another. We are emotional creatures. We are basically hairless apes with anxiety and credit cards. We need a psychological shift. This brings us to the concept of identity shift. You cannot just try to save money. Trying is weak. Trying is what you do when you are on a diet for 3 days before you inhale a pepperoni pizza. You need to change who you are. James Clear talks about this in Atomic Habits. You need to shift from saying, "I can't afford this," to saying, "I am not the kind of person who buys this." Do you see the difference? "I can't afford it" is restrictive. It comes from scarcity. It feels like a punishment. "I don't do that" is empowering. It is a choice. It comes from a place of identity. You need to decide right now that you are an investor, not a consumer. Consumers eat their seed corn. Investors plant it. When you walk into a store or you browse Amazon, you need to ask yourself, is this purchase building the life I want, or is it escaping the life I have? This ties into another psychological principle called the goal gradient effect. Research shows that animals and humans work harder the closer they get to a goal. If you give a rat a maze with cheese at the end, it runs faster as it smells the cheese. The problem in your 30s is that retirement feels like it is 1,000,000 miles away. You cannot smell the cheese. It is too far. So you lose motivation. You need to hack this effect by setting shorter, closer goals. Don't focus on retiring with $2 million. That is too abstract. Focus on hitting my first $10,000 in investments, then $50,000. Charlie Munger, the late great partner of Warren Buffett, famously said the first $100,000 is a B word, but you have got to do it. He said, "I don't care what you have to do. If it means walking everywhere and not eating anything that wasn't purchased with a coupon, find a way to get your hands on the first $100,000. Why? Because after that, the math starts to work for you. The money starts to make money. You can smell the cheese. You have to fall in love with the process, not the purchase. You have to get a dopamine hit from seeing your net worth go up, rather than seeing a new pair of shoes in your closet. This is hard, because society is engineered to make you feel like a loser if you aren't spending. Marketing departments have hired PhD psychologists to hack your brain to make you feel inadequate so you will buy their stuff. You have to be smarter than them. You have to realize that when you see someone driving a brand new Range Rover, you aren't seeing wealth. You are seeing debt. You are seeing a monthly payment. You are seeing stress. True wealth is invisible. It is the money you didn't spend. It is the option to quit your job. It is the ability to sleep at night. So the shift is this. Stop trying to look rich and start trying to be free. The moment you stop caring about what other people think of your car or your clothes, you give yourself a raise. It is the easiest money you will ever make. It is literally free money just by deleting your ego. Now let's talk about the practical implications of this, because this is where the rubber meets the road. This is where we use the concept of BATNA. In negotiation theory, BATNA stands for Best Alternative to a Negotiated Agreement. Basically, it means, do you have the power to walk away? In your financial life, having savings gives you the ultimate BATNA. It gives you bargaining power. When you are living paycheck to paycheck, you have zero bargaining power. If your boss treats you like garbage, you have to take it. You have to smile and say thank you because you need that check to pay the rent. You are trapped. You are fragile. But when you have 6 months or a year of expenses saved up, what we call FU money, your entire vibe changes. You walk differently. You talk differently. If your boss is unreasonable, you can push back. You can negotiate a raise because you aren't terrified of losing the job. You have a BATNA. You can walk away. This actually makes you more valuable. People respect strength. They respect confidence. Ironically, by not needing the money desperately, you are more likely to make more of it. It is a positive feedback loop. This also applies to spending. When you have money, you can use the contrast principle to your advantage. The contrast principle basically says we judge things in comparison to other things. When you are broke, a $500 emergency car repair feels like a disaster. It is a tragedy. It ruins your month. It causes fights with your partner. When you have $50,000 in the bank, a $500 repair is an annoyance. It is a mosquito bite. It is nothing. You pay it, and you move on with your day. By building this financial foundation in your 30s, you are effectively lowering the difficulty setting of your life. You are playing the game on easy mode while everyone else is playing on hard mode. Practical step. You need to automate this. Do not rely on willpower. Willpower is a finite resource. By Friday afternoon, your willpower is gone, and you will order the pizza. You need to set up automatic transfers. The day your paycheck hits, the money should instantly move to your investment accounts. It should leave your checking account before you even have a chance to see it. Treat your savings like a bill. You pay Netflix, you pay the landlord, you pay the electric company. Why are you not paying yourself? Are you less important than Netflix? I don't think so. Pay yourself first. Make it automatic. Make it painful to stop. If you have to log in and click buttons to cancel your savings transfer, you won't do it. You are too lazy. Use your laziness to your advantage. And listen, I have to give you a warning. A serious one. There is a trap that happens right when you start to get this right. It is the mid-journey stumble. You are going to hit a milestone. Maybe you pay off your student loans. Maybe you hit that first $100,000. You feel good. You feel accomplished. And that is when the devil whispers in your ear. The devil says, "Hey, you've done so well. You deserve a reward. Go buy that boat. Go on that luxury vacation. You can afford it now." This is the most dangerous moment. It is like a diet. You lose 20 pounds, so you think you can eat a whole cake. And suddenly, you gain 30 pounds back. We see this all the time with people in their 30s. They get a promotion, a big bump in salary, and instead of banking that difference, they upgrade their house. They move into a neighborhood they can barely afford to impress neighbors they don't even like. Do not do this. This is the opportunity cost trap coming back to bite you. Just because you can buy it doesn't mean you should. Keep living like a college student a little longer than you have to. I am not saying eat ramen noodles until you get scurvy. Please, eat a vegetable. But keep your fixed costs low. Keep your rent or mortgage low. Keep your car payment non-existent. If you let your lifestyle inflate every time your income goes up, you are running on a hamster wheel. You are running faster and faster, but you are staying in the exact same spot. And eventually, you are going to get tired. You are going to burn out. And when you stop running, you are going to fly off the back of the wheel and hit the wall. Refuse to upgrade your life until your passive income can pay for the upgrade. That is the rule. You want the fancy car? Fine. Buy enough dividend stocks or real estate that the cash flow pays for the car payment. Then, the car is free. Until then, drive the Honda. Love the Honda. Be the Honda. Okay, let's bring this home. If you are in your 30s, you are at a crossroads. You can keep doing what everyone else is doing, the normal thing. You can lease the car, max out the cards, look rich on Instagram, and secretly panic every time you open your banking app. You can live with that low-level hum of anxiety in the back of your skull, wondering what happens if you lose your job. Or you can decide today to be different. You can decide to look a little weird to your friends. You can say no to the expensive dinners for a while. You can drive the older car. You can embrace the abundance mindset and realize that you are building an empire, brick by brick. It is going to be uncomfortable at first. Your ego is going to scream. It is going to say, "But I work hard. I deserve nice things." You have to tell your ego to shut up. Tell your ego that you deserve freedom more than you deserve a new purse. You deserve to wake up in the morning and not worry about money. You deserve the ability to walk away from a toxic job. You deserve to retire while you are still young enough to enjoy it. That is the trade-off. It is a little bit of sacrifice now for a lifetime of freedom later. Start today. Not tomorrow. Tomorrow is a lie. Open the account. Set up the auto transfer. Even if it is $50, just start the momentum. Prove to yourself that you are an investor. Change your identity. Because the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is right now. Don't let your 40s be a repeat of your 30s. Break the cycle. I'm Ryan. This has been Finance with Ryan. Go build that foundation. I'll see you in the next one.